Hello and welcome to Stir with Love. This is a podcast that's presented by Love of Food Network. If you watched our earlier podcasts, we introduced a little bit about ourselves, but I'm Jan Delory, and I'm joined with my partner in Love of Food Network, who is my daughter,
Hello,
Nicole.
Nicole.
All right. So we were talking in our first episode about Thanksgiving, and we're picking up this in episode 2 as well. We spent a lot of time talking about planning your Thanksgiving and all the things you needed to do to get you up, even to the point of selecting a turkey and knowing what you're going to be working with as far as the turkey is concerned. And today we're going to pick back up and now start talking about all the different options that you have for preparing your meal for the day. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to share my screen for a quick moment. If it lets me, here we are. All right. Let me know when you can see this, Nicole.
I can.
All right, awesome. All right, so here is a turkey idea. It's called spatchcocking. So what we do is we take the whole turkey and we slice down the back of the bone, not the front where the breastbone is, but the back where the turkey spine is, and we completely cut it open. Now you can do this with a knife. I find that using kitchen shears, like really good kitchen shears, like the kinds you would use for like shellfish, work the best. I cut straight down on either side and take that backbone out. And when you do, you will have the inside of the turkey that you can lay and kind of splay open. Now there's a little bit more involved with just hitting the bone and splaying it nice and flat. I have a video all about doing spatchcocking. I did it with a chicken, so I have it available at Love of Food in the YouTube video. It's just if you look up spatchcocking, 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 it'll come right up. Now, I'm planning on doing this on Tuesday with an actual turkey, but I just showed it with chicken. So if you're interested in knowing how to do it with a turkey, that's great. Or maybe a chicken, I go through the entire technique. Now, why would you want to do this? Why do you want to take that beautiful turkey that most people put the little, the herbs on and the apple in the cavity, and why do you want to splay it? Well, I'll tell you why.
Cooking time.
Cooking time. That's right. So, especially if it's going to be a big turkey, right? If you've got a big grill, why not? You can go ahead and do this, and it'll cook 30% faster. So you can cut your cooking time down by 30%. That's a lot. So usually we're cooking turkey at about what, Nicole, 20 minutes a pound?
15 to 20, yeah.
Yeah, 15 to 20 minutes per pound. So average turkey being, let's say 15-pound turkey, you now are cooking that turkey for quite some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can cut that down by 30%. At first, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when we're talking hours and hours in the oven, yeah.
Well, it also depends on what time you want to have that turkey ready by.
That's right. That's right. So if you're going to have an early Thanksgiving, you want to get up at 2 in the morning to put it on, cook it the old-fashioned way, or do you want to say, we're going to be having a spatchcock turkey?
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, cooking it this way allows you to grill it or smoke it, which brings a whole nother flavor into Thanksgiving. We love smoked turkey. If you've gone to the deli and had some smoked turkey meat from the deli, it's fantastic, right? For sandwiches. So it's another way of thinking about doing your turkey. Now, not everybody has a smoker. Not everybody has a big grill. If your turkey was small enough, you could still go ahead and spatchcock it in the oven and roast some beautiful. Look at, love the presentation here that this person thought of, because there's like Brussels sprouts and purple potatoes and carrots. I mean, this just looks like a fall meal that I want to eat. And
Absolutely.
that would be gorgeous on a Thanksgiving table. So spatchcocking, one way of doing your turkey that's a little bit different. Now, that's not for everyone. Not everybody wants to go through that prep. Here's another way, right? Maybe you just want to do a turkey breast. You don't have to do a whole turkey, right? You could just take and grab a turkey breast and get that into the oven. And we did it this one year where we just covered it in, like we made a little lattice out of some bacon and just laid that over the top. And then that bacon fat just ran into that turkey breast. And that was amazing. That was also a great way to do a turkey. I don't think that was a Thanksgiving turkey. I think we did that for just like a when we were having some folks over because we were playing around with it. But you know, again, but if you want to do it that way, if you have your household doesn't like the drumstick and nobody wants the thigh meat, which I think has the most flavor, but it's a preference thing. You could certainly just cook a turkey breast. Nicole, you've done probably a ton of turkey breasts in your cooking career.
A lot of hotel style turkey breasts. Yeah.
Is there any advice you have? I mean, what about this injecting thing? Let's talk about that.
I think the biggest challenge if you're going to do just a turkey breast is to not dry it out. So,
Yeah.
by you wrapping it the bacon, you're locking the moisture in there. So it's important that if you are going to do just a breast because you have a smaller gathering, on ways to, do the injectables, inject it with a butter, herb solution, constantly basting your turkey every 20 minutes is important. So there can be a lot of different things on whatever you're trying to achieve. There's a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And you just made me think of something because one Thanksgiving we had a lot of people that came in late, like we hadn't planned for them. So I ran down and got a turkey breast and we cooked that in addition to the regular turkey.
Mhm.
So if that happens to you, the turkey breast is another good way because most people eat a lot of the white meat, right? Because they want to put the gravy on and do all that, right? So it was a great way to kind of stretch that first turkey.
Yeah. Cheesecloth. People, everybody, that's how, my grandmother used to do it is she used to just constantly keep the cheesecloth on the turkey. And then when you baste on the cheesecloth. So that way the cheesecloth stays moist and your turkey stays moist. But, you just got to figure out what best technique works for you and what you like the best.
So, this is where I always say Nicole brings in just that little bit of technical expertise that like I don't even think of. So I base my turkey, right? I've never used a cheesecloth. I base my turkey and that water from the liquid from the pan just rolls off the top of my turkey and I have to keep basting it. And she gives just a simple little idea, right? But it's the technical piece that she brings to the table, the cheesecloth. Because at first I'm like, why do you need a cheesecloth? Right? No, she's right. That actually is holding the moisture on that turkey breast. So, and thanks to Nan for, to your Nan for teaching you that. But you knew the technical reason why.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. We talked a little bit last episode about learning from, your aunties and grandmother and mother and all of that, and some of the techniques they use, and kind of just makes me that just kind of brought to mind. It's something that stuck with you because you saw her do that. I'm sure you've seen that in commercial kitchens as well. But it's sometimes you can just pick up a little something that your ancestors had always done, or people in your family had always done, or, that you learn along the way. Cool. So here's another way to cook your turkey. Now, Nicole, you did this one last year. And tell us what this is. What are we looking at?
So this was more of a test one. So this is an electric cooker. I was struggling with the amount of things that I had to put in my oven at once, and taking up all the room in the oven just for the turkey was not ideal. So I went ahead and tried this electric cooker, and it worked out great. it took about almost half the amount of time that a normal turkey would take in an oven, just because the cooker itself was so small. Not small in size, but small compared to the oven. It came with a dome, so the moisture kept on locking in and then, basting itself essentially. So
Wow. So it made it a little bit easier and it freed up some room in your oven. I see these all the time. I see them at Walmart. I see them at Costco. We know we have them on we've actually posted this on our Amazon website as well, our Amazon storefront, because you did have such great success with this last year.
yeah,
And I think the question is, like, okay, well, how did it turn out? Tell us in the end. How it was easier to use, but did you like the
it
turkey?
definitely it was good. It kept it very moist. And that is a 23-pound turkey. So it's
What?
definitely not a small bird. It is the electric roaster is large compared to what you see in the picture. That was a 23-pound bird.
Wow. Okay.
So
So we talk about electric roasters on our Amazon storefront, and what's kind of funny is that I saw you make a big batch of chili in it too. So I guess having the electric roaster was worth taking up the space in the cabinet because you can do other things aside from your turkey with it.
yeah, yeah, we definitely have made use of it.
That's good to know. That a 23-pound turkey inside something that you can plug in, and you can plug it indoors or outdoors too. That's the other beauty of that, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And probably saved on electricity. Cooking in an oven for all that amount of time probably runs up the electric bill. So it makes you think about your budget a little bit. That's good.
Hmm.
Cool. All right. So in Nicole's picture and my picture, you notice that this is my picture that I had done one year. But we wrapped the tips in tin foil on the wings, right? The wing tips. And Nicole, tell us why we do that.
Just because they're the fastest to cook, so they're the most easiest to burn.
Yeah. And that really makes the turkey look ugly and dried up, shriveled up if you don't cover them. And I cover the ends where the legs meet too. I'm funny about that. So I just try to keep that part. My husband is a drumstick person, so I like to make the drumsticks look as nice as they possibly can. And sometimes they can dry out near the edge of that bone too, where there's not a lot of meat on the end. So I do both.
Yeah, some
Um,
people tuck the wings, so they'll fold them underneath the turkey. So
yes.
it all depends on preference, really.
Yeah, you can tuck them under too.
Hmm.
I've seen that done. When I do a rotisserie chicken, I do that. I tuck it and then I tie it with twine.
Trust it. Hmm.
Yeah, well, let's see, the technical term is trusted, right? But I'm not the cook, so I'm not the chef, I should say. So I call it tie it with twine. Okay, that's funny. So flavoring your turkey, like what should you put on the outside? Everybody asks us that. It's a matter of preference, and I like to always use salt. Would you agree, Nicole? You have to have salt on
Oh,
turkey.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to dry
So
that skin out, and that's what the salt does.
yeah, and I think herbs are great, and I use a lot of fresh herbs because I grow them. I have them readily accessible to me, but sometimes you may not. You may not have them. But what about frying? What about deep frying a turkey? Let's talk about this one for a minute. So deep frying, I've not done it. Nicole, you said you hadn't done it either, right?
We've done it, but not as a family turkey. I've done it in the kitchen.
Okay. Um, so deep frying the turkey comes with some cautions. But before I tell you the cautions, Nicole's going to tell you what it tastes like. She's tasted it.
That's great. It's good. You would think that it would get dried out. It doesn't. The skin is really crispy, which is great. Um, but there's a lot of danger to it, and so if you don't know how to deep fry a turkey, it can become very messy and dangerous.
Every year we see on the news, right? See all these terrible videos, people catching their houses on fire, people burning themselves. I mean, this is really something you have to be a skilled person to be able to handle this. If you don't understand basic principles of cooking with oil, deep, hot oil that can start a fire, can burn you, can really, mess up your whole world, then we wouldn't recommend doing this. Always, there's certain gloves you wear, there's certain distances you need to keep this away from your house or from trees. You need to make sure there's no kids or pets. There's so many things that could go wrong when you're working with one big, huge pot. Just think how big a turkey is. That's a big pot of oil. It's not like cooking up some French fries on the stove. This is a whole nother ball game. But you said it was delicious.
It was good.
Okay. So just an option, right? So here was the turkey that I didn't have any fresh herbs, right? I used dry herbs. It doesn't look as pretty as that one I showed you with the fresh herbs, right? Just doesn't. It still added flavor. It still was good. It still cooked golden. It still did everything it was supposed to do, except for it just doesn't have any bright color to it. I had to, when I plated it, make those bright colors. It's a preference thing. But this turkey had salt, always has salt. Again, here's another one without all the fresh herbs. Now, Nicole, you do something different. I tend to focus on the skin. I'm a crispy skin person. I like the flavor in the skin. But you do something that really puts the flavor all throughout by working under the skin. So
yeah, I make a compound butter.
Okay,
Butter
and how do you apply that?
Herbs and seasonings. You stick your hand right in between the breast and the skin, and you get all the way down. You can go down as far as the legs, the back of the bird, and lots of butter.
Lots of butter. That's one of Nikki's chef secrets, by the way. She made me green beans one time when I went over through her house, and I was like, Nicole, your green beans are so good. Why are you so delicious? And she said the secret was lots of butter. Do you remember that? Somewhere along the line, I have a picture of those green beans. I'm going to find them. So being able to do different techniques with your turkey is great. And just thinking about what it is what is the flavor, what's the outcome, what's the color, how do you want it to look when you're done, and have fun. Look, I tried something one year where I gave my turkey a mohawk because I took all that butter that Nikki would normally be putting up, like the herb butter up under the skin, and I gave mine a mohawk, and I put it in the oven like that, and then as the butter melted, it kind of just went all down the sides of the turkey. It was just kind of fun, right? So have a little bit of fun. I joked that maybe I had maybe a glass of wine or two before I came up with this idea, but traditionally what I do, and I found that this works nicely, is I buy ghee. Nicole, you know what ghee is, so explain to everybody what ghee is.
Clarified butter.
Yeah. And it's used a lot in Indian cooking. So they sell it in jars in the store, It's shelf-stable butter that they sell in the store. Like, go figure, because they've taken and drained and strained all that fat out of it, right? Clarified it. So ghee is soft. And what I do is I take it out and I just rub all over the turkey with the ghee. And it makes a nice, even color all over your turkey because every part of the turkey's got some butter on it. When I did the mohawk this year, I think it probably came out patchy because the butter drained certain places, and it wasn't. I couldn't rub it on the turkey because once it went in the oven, it was too hot to touch, and yeah. So I just thought it was a fun picture. But here, you can see like what I'm talking about. Like you can see places where the butter didn't go, right, in different areas. Now, in this picture, I'm showing a stuffed turkey. We're going to talk about food safety, and we're going to talk about stuffing in just a minute. But your grandmom and mom, they have always stuffed that turkey. And the way that I had learned about this was when I was a kid, that's how they did it. And they shoved that stuffing in because everybody loves the stuffing, and they put as much as they could inside it. But we know today that that's not the right way to do it. It causes uneven cooking in the turkey. And if you don't have that turkey at 165 or more degrees, you are putting people at risk of food poisoning. And not just, oh, little bit of food poisoning. You could really make someone sick to the point where they'd be hospitalized. And if they're older or pregnant, that becomes even a higher risk for them. So we're not going to tell you not to do it, but we're going to talk about in a few minutes the right way to do it. And if you do it at all, if you stuff it at all. But what I thought was funny is we were talking about Nicole. I said, what kind of aromatics do you put, like in your turkey? And you were telling me about using an apple, right?
Whatever really I have in the fridge. If I have an apple, I'll stick an apple in there. If I have an orange, I'll stick an orange in there, cut it up. But I always do my fresh herbs. It's always going to have the rosemary, the thyme, onion, celery, and so I'm using the leftovers. So if I'm making my stuffing, I'm keeping the tops to my celery. Nothing that I wouldn't put in my celery, but I'm saving it to put underneath the bird and then inside.
That's smart. Here, I used a persimmon. Someone gave me some persimmons off their tree, and I had leftover persimmons, and so much stuff. I just shoved a persimmon in there to kind of hold that stuffing in. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Okay, again, more turkeys. Let's talk about brining the turkey. So this is what I would consider a dry brine for the turkey. It's basically a rub, right? Like, if you had any kind of, barbecue that is got a rub on the outside, a lot of times people will do chicken wings with a dry rub, and they're fantastic. So you can use that kind of rub and make a dry brine for your turkey. And this is what I'm going to be doing this year. This is my favorite way to do it. And so what you're doing, well, let me explain the process of brining. What you're doing is you're going to be coating the turkey in all of this salt and flavor, paprika, and all this good, spices that are in there. And you let it sit for 24 hours in the fridge with all of this brine kind of like hugging your turkey, kind of like coating it all down. And what that does is that's holding the moisture in your turkey, and it's crisping the skin a little bit because it's drawing moisture from the skin only, right? So you're not going to dry your turkey out. It's a dry brine. It's just drying the skin. Then when you go to cook your turkey, you can rub it down. You can do whatever you want to do. You can add the butter. You can add the herbs. You can do it any way you'd like. And we'll be showing you some techniques on that when we actually cook this one coming up. The other way to brine a turkey, this is kind of the way that we used to do it, right? We would take the turkey, we would add in all these aromatics and spices, so carrots and onions and apple and brown sugar and lots of salted water. And we would place the turkey inside an enormous pot and keep that in the refrigerator. So depending on the size of the turkey, and the turkey needs to be covered with all this liquid, that's a heavy pot. And it's going to take up all the room in your refrigerator. Hope you're not going to store anything else. It's okay if you got a second fridge, maybe a garage fridge or something, and you want to do it, have at it. But here's what I found out. I was doing this for years. And then one year I did it, and my turkey came out mushy. And I'm like, the texture just wasn't quite right. And I'm thinking, I didn't overcook my turkey. What happened? What went wrong? And then I remembered, I bought that grocery store turkey that was already injected with salt and some kind of solution. And then I brined it again. So I double brined that turkey, and it just absorbed too much water. And aside from it having like a little bit of a mushier kind of a texture, it also really had no flavor because I diluted all the flavor out of my bird with the amount of water. So not that this is a bad thing to do. If you buy, like, Nicole, would you agree, a farm turkey, if you want a wet brine, you can.
Yeah, anything that you buy from the supermarket's usually going to have a brine already on it. Read
Yeah.
the labels. Read your labels.
Yeah. Now, you don't have to brine. Now, Nikki does something different. Tell us what you do with yours to keep moisture in. What do you do?
So I didn't have a turkey that was already brined. So I inject it. I inject it with butter and herbs,
So
and then
you
I
use
put
it.
my compound butter underneath the skin. So yeah.
So you injected yours, and that worked good too.
Hmm.
That's great. Um, but if it was brined, would you still do it? I don't know.
You could. I mean, it just depends on how long you did the brine for, and if if you wanted some additional flavor, why not?
Okay. All right. So, but probably just going up underneath that skin would be funny. And then on the top of the skin, like I do. You can take a little bit from Nicole and a little bit from me. Come up with your own way of doing it.
All about
All right.
experiment.
All right. So anyway, that's a lot about cooking turkey, right? All the different ways. You get a lot of options. We've talked about cooking turkey breast. We've talked about deep frying turkey. We've talked about oven roasting turkey. We've talked about spatchcocking. That's a lot of different options. You got to have a game plan and know what you're going to do, right? You can
Mhm.
be somebody like me who's going to play around, but let me tell you, Thanksgiving is not the day to experiment. Agreed?
Agreed.
Tried and true recipes. If you want to try something new, so we're going to try something new this year, right? We're going to try days before, make sure everything's going to work out. We're going to try, we're going to taste. Good way to do this is if you're going to have some friends over in the month of October or early November on a weekend, and you want to bring one of your new side dishes in that you're going to introduce on Thanksgiving. Serve it to your friends. They'll tell you. They'll let you know if it's good or not. If you're going to bake from scratch this year and you're going to think that, like, oh, I'm going to make this most beautiful dessert and you haven't done it before, Thanksgiving is not the day to try it. Practice, practice, practice. If you've never made mashed potatoes before, I'm not going to be that scared of that, but just know ahead of time what your game plan is and practice anything that seems foreign or new or different. That's the
Agreed.
biggest, yeah. Um, have I done it? My husband will laugh because I use my neighbors as my guinea pigs. So, and he's always like, "Are you sure you want to bring this to the neighbors? Like, you've never made this before." And I'm like, "They're my guinea pigs. I would much rather have the neighbors say, like, they're getting some free food. I'd much rather have them say, well, that's kind of interesting than, have it be at a dinner party where, or when I'm filming or, trying to make something come out that I've never done before. So don't be nervous. Just get out ahead of it and practice. Anything we forgot to talk about turkey?
I don't think so. Not
No.
cooking it, at least.
Well, here's one thing I will say. If you are buying that store-bought turkey, right, know that it comes with a packet inside it. If this is your first time cooking a turkey, get the neck and the giblets out. The packet could be all in the cavity in the front. Sometimes there's some in the back underneath too. Just make sure you look for that. And geez, don't throw it away. That is a base for your gravy, right? That
Hmm.
is flavor. You want to take those pieces and parts, that ugly looking neck and the giblets, and you want to take them and the heart or whatever it comes with, put it in a pan with some water the day of or the day before, and start boiling that down and get some flavor going for your gravy because that makes it great gravy.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, we're going to be talking about, next episode, we're going to talk about prepping for Thanksgiving. What you can prep ahead of time, how Nicole does it, how I do it, and we're going to talk about all those sides, desserts, and we're going to get into a little bit more about that, and then how to host that day, make your guests feel comfortable, and how to send them home with food that is safe and delicious so that they can have some leftovers too. What do you think, Nicole?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, we hope that this has been helpful for you. This was our second podcast in this series of how to host Thanksgiving like a pro. We've got an article written about this that's on our website as well. If you'd like to go check out the article, a lot of the same information we told you here. If you forgot something and you want to check back, you can either watch this as it's recorded, or you can go ahead and go to the article, which is on our website, which is Love of Food Network, and is at loveoffood.net. So that's easy, loveoffood.net. That's right, Nicole's showing you. We are for the love of food. We want to thank you for spending some time with us today. We had a good time doing this. We hope you did too. And we're going to be back with our next episode of Stir with Love here shortly. Bye.
Bye-bye.